What's up, everybody? Justin here. I'm back. It's been a minute. Ooh, my glasses are dirty. It's been a minute. So since our last video, I got really busy at work, my day job, and I have been coming home every night and either crashing or getting caught up on graphic design stuff. I work a day job, but then I'm also a graphic designer in the metal and music, industry, and I have a lot of work to do every night on that. Anyway, I've been busy, so haven't had a chance to do a video, but in the last few weeks, I've got a lot of new shit, so we're going to go over some new stuff here, and let's talk about it. First, we are listening to Diruk, Forgotten Legends. I cannot remember if this is their first or second record. I do know that I have everything on vinyl except for this, but I only have this one on tape. This was self-released back in 2002. I bought it way back when Diruk was real young, and they were just starting to get a little steam in the black metal scene. And what drew me to them was they had really long songs, and I like long, drawn-out, repetitive black metal songs, the way Burzum used to do, and Diruk does it, and a bunch of bands. But anyway, Diruk is great shit, just grim, cold, somber sounding black metal, and I like this early material is really, it's not raw, but it's rawer than the new stuff. Anyway, Diruk, good stuff. So, we're going to get into some new shit. I've got a handful of CDs, a bunch of new tapes, and a record. So first, I got this the other day. Northern, Desolate Ways to Ultima Thule. I have talked about Cold Northern Vengeance several times in a couple of my videos. They are a really unique and killer black metal band from Rhode Island, New England. And sometime in the last couple of years, they dropped the Cold and the Vengeance part and just go by Northern. And this is their new record. It's their third full length. And I've only listened to this all the way through once, but let me tell you, man, it is fucking top-notch. Nobody sounds like this band, and they have this really unique approach to the way they write songs. It's folk-sounding and pagan-sounding and Viking-sounding, but it's just relentless black metal all at the same time. There's so many solid blast beats on this. That's the first thing I noticed, that even though the guitars may slow down, to something more epic sounding or more folky sounding, the drums are just fucking relentless, but it works so well. It has this really organic production to it. It's recorded really well. There's lots of samples that weave in and out. So their first full length, Domination and Servitude, touched on a lot of Aleister Crowley stuff, and some of that is here. But there's some samples from Charles Manson and the Dark Shadows TV series, Carl Jung. There's also the coda of the last song. It's Hank Williams. It's a Hank Williams song that they sampled in with some other samples going on, and it works so fucking well. But Northern, man, it is just fucking killer. Really unique black metal that I'm really fond of. Next, now for something completely different. Minstrel Dis with Enslaving Debauched Mass. This is an EP. Minstrel Dis, use your imagination as to what that means, is an Indonesian brutal death metal band, one-man band, and it is fucking bananas. This shit is so technical and so fucking heavy and so over the top. All the drums are programmed, and they're just programmed enough, to sound programmed, and they're just fast enough and relentless enough that a real drummer couldn't fucking play this. But it is done so well. It's recorded really well. The art is fucking insane. I also bought a t-shirt, a long sleeve shirt with this on. I think I wore it the other day in one of these videos. But I really, really like this band. They're a new project. And they're just, it's relentless. Side note, weird thing, the guy behind this band is Muslim, and I think that's fucking odd. Next, something completely different. The Last Stand with This Is Real. This is another EP. The Last Stand is an old school, kind of just traditional, like, youth crew, hardcore band from New York City, from Brooklyn. And Mike Scondato right here is a buddy of mine. I've known Mike for a long, long time, talking about metal and talking about music. And even though this band is a just unabashed, old school hardcore band, Mike is a huge metal fan. And he's a little older. Been in the metal scene for 30 years. Been in the hardcore scene for 30 years. He's awesome, man. He's an encyclopedia. Really fucking cool guy. He came to see my band. We played in Brooklyn one time. But there's another hardcore band from Brooklyn from the late 90s called Shutdown. The other three guys in this band are Shutdown. The singer of Shutdown is Mike's younger brother. So basically they just changed singers in the same family and created The Last Stand, but this shit is killer. They've got a full length, came out a couple years ago, and I like this material. I love that full length, but this material is so much better than it. It's such a step in the right direction. It's such solid songwriting from fucking New York City, hardcore, fucking veterans. I mean, all these guys are in their mid-40s, and they fucking kill it. So if you like that kind of, you know, Warzone, Shutdown, old school New York hardcore, Agnostic Front, Last Stand, man, they are killing it. They're the best doing that right now. Okay, so then I went to Goodwill the other day, and I was in Goodwill a few weeks ago, and I was flipping through the CDs, and there was a Depeche Mode CD. And I didn't buy it. I didn't recognize which one it was, and they have, you know, 20 albums. I said, whatever, I won't get it. So then we went in there again yesterday, and I said, I'm going to get that Depeche Mode CD. And I flipped through all the fucking CDs forever and couldn't find it. But I found another stack of shit that I did buy. So, first, I found an All CD, Pummel. All, of course, is the sister band, the alter ego band of the Descendants. It's the Descendants with a different singer. And Pummel was their major label album. They put out several records on SST Records and a couple other record labels in the early 90s. And then they signed to Interscope and put out Pummel on Interscope in 1996. And 96 or 95, somewhere in there. I don't know. And I like All. I don't know their material nearly as well as I know and love the Descendants. They've got twice as many albums as the Descendants. They're extremely prolific. When the Descendants are inactive, these guys are hard at it, even though they haven't put out an album in 10 years. And Pummel is good, but there's 15 songs on it, and I think it's a little bloated, and there's not many hooks across this. It's just parts and riffs, and it's kind of angular and dissonant. It's kind of an angry, dark record. And some of the All stuff is really, really melodic. And Pummel's not as melodic. The best song on the record is the last one, Black Sky. This song, Hetero, is kind of homophobic, and it's really weird. It's talking about not getting any credit being a straight white guy. And, I mean, this is over 20 years old, 22, 23 years old. And I feel like they got shit for that song then. And I think it was Bill Stevenson, the drummer, who wrote it. He was trying to make a point, and he didn't get it across right. But if people were to get hip to this now, man, they'd be in all kinds of shit. Anyway, that record's good. I may pull for it every so often. All's one of those bands that I like. But I'm not going to go after All shit unless I find it like that in a pawn shop or a used CD bin or something, or a thrift store. So, I also bought the Best of Psychic TV. Time's up. So Psychic TV is a project from Genesis Porridge, who was in Throbbing Gristle, which is a one of the forefathers of like industrial noise. And I've never gone back and listened to a lot of Throbbing Gristle, and I know that they're an act, a group that I would really, really like. But funny enough, Nuclear War Now shirt I got on, record label, they got their name, Yosuke named this label after a t-shirt that one of the members of Throbbing Gristle was wearing in a picture in a CD. There you go, little history. This is also an employee-only Nuclear War Now shirt. So, good luck, you're never going to get one. So, anyway, I've never listened to Psychic TV, but I know that it is relevant to my interests. So we'll check it out. I haven't listened to it yet. I just bought it yesterday. I also bought the Lost soundtrack. Lost Highway soundtrack. Fuck. Lost Highway is a David Lynch movie. I love David Lynch movies. Oddly enough, I've never seen this one. And I don't know why I've never watched it. I need to fucking watch it. I really bought this because there's a lot of Angelo Badalamenti songs on it, and he scores all of the David Lynch movies, and I love his music. There's a couple of Nine Inch Nails songs on here, but there's also some embarrassing shit. Like, there's Rammstein and some David Bowie songs. I do not like David Bowie. There's some Marilyn Manson songs, but a buddy of mine said he bought this like last year, and he said half of it's unlistenable. So we'll see. I bought it because it's David Lynch related. It was $1. I also picked up Decade. This is a collection of Neil Young material. And Neil Young is one of those people that I know a little bit of his stuff. And, you know, he's got 40 albums. I know some of his songs, but I've always wanted to really, like, get into Neil Young. So I think this is a good place to start. It's a 2-CD set. There's about 40 songs here. So it's a good place to start, you know, to kind of figure out what I like as far as Neil Young goes. So, same goes for Merle Haggard. This is a 3-CD set called Super Hits. Super Hits 1, 2, and 3. I love old country music, and I think a lot of guys my age that are into punk and metal and hardcore, especially being from the South like I am, appreciate old country music. Shout out to Mike Seatown. He loves him some Merle Haggard. But, like a lot of this stuff, Neil Young and old country music, and I know some of the songs, but I've never spent a lot of time with the artists. So I grabbed this, and I listened to all 3 of these already, and they're all fucking great. My only complaint about this is that there's lots of saxophone in his songs, and I fucking hate the saxophone. It's my #1 least favorite instrument. So speaking of saxophones, here's a curveball. I wonder how many people expected this. The new Ghost. Haha. I love Ghost. And we're going to talk about Ghost really soon because we're almost to the G's in the CD collection videos. When Ghost came out in 2010, it was a few months after they kind of broke. Right when the first album came out, I started listening to them. And it just clicked with me. And I was in a really bad place in my personal life then. And I was in a really bad emotional state of mind. For some reason, Ghost, like, helped me. I listened to Ghost a lot. That first album. During that time. And I just, man, I really, really, really like them. And they get so much shit from some of my friends and some of my peers and contemporaries in the metal scene. And they get so much unwarranted just criticism. And the #1 things you hear, it's Scooby-Doo music. So what? They're a Merciful Fate ripoff. No, they're not. They're King Diamond ripoff. No, they're not. They're Blue Oyster Cult ripoff. No, they're not. They sounded like Blue Oyster Cult in one song. He sounded like King Diamond in one song. That's the problem with people who critique shit, is they listen to one fucking snippet and they go, I don't like it based on that. Now, people who have talked shit about Ghost for the last 8 years, I don't want them to get into Ghost. Fuck off. I like Ghost. And I think that Tobias Forge is immensely fucking talented. And anyway, this is their new record, Prequelle. And it's fucking awesome. It has the sickest goddamn artwork I have ever seen. Zibnu Zibalak, or whatever his name is a fucking incredible artist, but that fucking artwork. So when I bought this cover is lenticular, so like you can't tell in the light right here, but when you turn it, it's like 3D holographic, and that kind of bummed me out because I wanted to see it real big, and it's blurry when you look at it up close. But it came with a giant fucking poster, so at least I can open this up and check it out and look at it up close. But this art, man, is fucking incredible. Got a printed inner sleeve. It is on this really nice marbled red vinyl. Picture of the band. Now, lyrics, all of the drama behind this band, and all of the secrecy and all of the shtick, you know, it kind of works in their favor, in my opinion. They're just, man, they're fucking unique. They're super, super unique. And they're not a metal band. You got to get off that. They're not a fucking metal band. And if you've read some interviews, now that it's come out that Tobias Forge is the guy behind the band, he's had a vision for what he's wanted to do for a long time, and he's finally making it happen. Oh, this also came with a 7-inch. There's 2 covers on this record. It's on the same color vinyl. There's 2 covers, the Pet Shop Boys and Leonard Cohen, and this is the 2 covers. And they're both really, really good covers. I will get into Ghost a lot more when I talk about, when I get to them in the CD collection. But I like Ghost, and if you go back, if you like Repugnant, the death metal band that some of the original members of Ghost were in, and if you listen to Subvision, which is the indie rock band that Tobias Forge was in 10 years ago, there's a lot of elements of those bands that have made their way into Ghost. There's a lot of the melodies in the way that he writes riffs. There's a lot of melodies in the way that he sings and the way he carries his voice. If you go back and listen to Repugnant, you can hear Ghost in Repugnant. And it's incredible. It's like those little Easter eggs you find. But anyway, Prequelle. Now, this record is definitely like left field for Ghost. They're slowly like morphing into this band, this giant arena rock band. And there's some odd moments on this, but all of it's good. And I mentioned saxophone. Miasma, which closes out side A, is an instrumental and has a saxophone solo in it, and I fucking hate it. Regardless, Prequelle, right now, it's my favorite Ghost album. Okay, so, we're going to get into a bunch of fucking tapes, because I bought a bunch of fucking tapes recently. First, I got Incantations Upon the Throne of Apocalypse. This is a bootleg. It's just a gray tape. There's nothing on the inside. It's professionally pressed, though, so it sounds really fucking good. There's a small bootleg label called Cryptic Fan Music. I don't know who's behind it, who's doing them, but these keep popping up in distros. And, yeah, it's one of my favorite death metal bands of all time, so why not? And they gave this to me. I didn't spend any money on this. And then that same distro sent me these, but I don't know what they are. Coffin Curse and Insismus. I'll check them out, but it's 2 free tapes. Shout out to John from Von Frost Records. So, I talked a little bit the other day. I was listening to this, Blessed Are the Sick. I also bought Covenant on cassette tape. I will talk at length about Morbid Angel when I get to them in the CD collection videos, but Covenant is the reason I listen to death metal, and it's my favorite death metal album of all time, and God of Emptiness is my favorite death metal song of all time, and not because I saw it on Beavis and Butthead when I was a kid. I actually got into Covenant, I got into Morbid Angel. Around that time, it was late 93, early 94, and a buddy of mine gave me a mixtape, and I was into metal, and I was listening to like Pantera and Metallica and Guns N' Roses, Nirvana, you know, lots of grunge back then. And, no, not lots of grunge. I listened to Nirvana. That was about it. I never liked Soundgarden or Alice in Chains, and I still don't. Anyway, buddy of mine gave me a mixtape. And on that mixtape was Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, some other stuff I don't remember. Danzig. Yeah, Danzig, How the Gods Kill were on that mixtape. The last song on the last side of this mixtape was God of Emptiness. And I went home, I listened to this tape, I go back to my buddy, and I'm like, what the fuck was that song? And he was like, oh. He's like, I don't know. He's like, that's some heavy fucking satanic shit. I don't like it. And I would find myself listening to it over and over and over. And, you know, I'd fucking put it in and I'd look and make sure, you know, my mom's not watching me. Because I felt like I wasn't supposed to be listening to this song. It was fucking dirty and it was evil. And I was obsessed with it. A couple years later, I start driving, go to the CD store, and I fucking bought this album. And I'll talk about that all later. Anyway, these two tapes fell in my lap. A buddy of mine who's an old school death metal guy, he's much older than me, he said, hey, I'm selling a bunch of my tapes. He sold these to me super, super cheap. And currently, this one is fetching about $80 on Discogs, which is fucking bananas. Morbid Angel, these two albums are fucking incredible. I wouldn't be who I am without them. I also bought Hyperdontia with Abhorrence Veil. This is a death metal band, members of Phrenolith and Engulf and Undergang. And this shit is just really, really solid fucking gloomy, doomy, morbid death metal, the way that all these bands are doing it these days. But out of all of those bands, Necrot, Undergang, Phrenolith, I can't think of all of them. Hyperdontia is by far my favorite. This came out in Extremely Rotten Productions, and they still have some in stock if you go grab one. I think I bought this via their Discogs page. This came out on 7-inch as well, and I have the 7-inch, but I'm more apt to listen to a tape, because obviously I do it all the time. So, save the best for last. No, I didn't. First this. Oath of Cirion with King of the Dragon Throne. So, the other day, somebody friended me on Facebook, and I clicked on their page to check out their page, and they had posted this. And it looked cool. So I clicked on it, listened to it, and it's really like grim, raw, dense, kind of shittily recorded symphonic black metal. And I was like, oh, that's kind of awesome. So I looked for it on Discogs, and I found a copy of it for, you know, a few bucks. And this came out in late 90s, like 99. Yeah, recorded in May 99. So I don't know if this is original. It may be like a copy. Now, the Discogs page said it was original. It seems to be in like super, super great shape, but it does look old, regardless. They're from Finland. Yeah, they're from Finland. And then I can't remember what other bands they were in, but Ben Smasher told me, we were talking about them the other day, and he bought one of their CDs and he said it sucks, but this demo's rad. It sounds like old, dirty, raw, grimy, gross Balsagoth. And this came out on Chanteloup Creations. So my first black metal band I ever did, we put out some tapes on a small label that I cannot remember the name of right now. But it was the same guy behind Chanteloup Creations. Oh, Wolfrune Works was the name of the label. And before he did Wolfrune Works, he did Chanteloup Creations. So I got a kind of a 6 degrees of separation with that label in this band. Anyway, this is good. It's just dirty, but symphonic black metal. I like it. Okay, here we go. Check this out. I got this nice stack of demos. Crematory, Incantation, 2 Morbid Angel demos, Mortician's demo, Burzum's first demo, Gorgoroth, Abhorrence. So, these are all 2nd generation demos, meaning that they are copies of the originals. Someone I know has all of these original demos, and he made me copies of them. And they're fucking rad, and they sound fucking incredible. So Abhorrence, Finnish death metal. This is the Vulgar Necrolatry demo. And this got re-released on a really fucking killer CD and LP set a few years ago. But it's nice to have this tape to listen to. A Gorgoroth, a sorcery written in blood. I really like Gorgoroth. And this is a look at, you know, the early era of the band, back when Hat was the vocalist, and pre-Gaul, pre all the nonsense and the drama, but just fucking nasty, raw, grim, fucking gauntlets and spikes, Gorgoroth black metal. So this is Burzum's first demo, and the spine is upside down. So this has got Lost Wisdom, Spell of Destruction, Channeling Souls into a New God. Again, I've talked about Burzum at length. I fucking love Burzum. So I love having a copy of this. Sounds fucking great. Mortician, demo number 1, 1990. Mortician is one of my favorite death metal bands of all time. This was recorded with a real drummer. For those of you that don't know, Mortician's a death metal band. They're really horror movie influenced, and they're really fucking primitive. And they've most famously, they've recorded all their albums with a drum machine, and it's just like a drum machine set to full blast the entire time. And they're an acquired taste, and there's a lot of people that don't like them, but they've kind of had this resurgence and this new renaissance in the past couple of years. John McEntee from Incantation played guitars on this, because around this time, Will Romer was one of the early vocalists in Incantation. So, but this first demo is them in their infancy, and it's fucking incredible. Then we've got 2 Morbid Angel demos, Scream Forth Blasphemies and Thy Kingdom Come. Another look at an early incarnation of this band. And this one is when they were still based in North Carolina. And I can't remember, I think Mike Browning was the singer on this one. This is pre-David Vincent. And then I met Mike Browning last year, played a show with Nocturnus. So this is this is the almost the classic lineup. So Wayne Hartzell was still the drummer. This is before Pete Sandoval. And this material, the Thy Kingdom Come material, is just fucking vicious. And I listened to this a couple of times the other day, man. It's so fucking good. So influential in so many bands, and a look at a band, you know, this is right before they did, what year was it, like 87? Yeah, this is 87, so this is 2 years before Altars came out. But, you know, this is all Altars songs that are on here. And, man, it's just untouchable. So, Incantation's first demo. And this has got a much bigger, more involved insert. So, like I just said with Mortician, Will Romer was the singer on this, and Ronnie Dio was playing bass, but then Sal Sejo and Peter Barnabek were guitar and drums. This is all they ever did with the band. But these 4 songs are the beginning of Incantation. And they are just, man, without this demo, without this band and these songs, death metal in America would not be what it is today. And you owe them, even if you don't like Incantation, you owe Incantation a debt of gratitude for being who they are. Alright, then last, the first 2 demos from Crematory. This is the finished Crematory. I talked about them a few videos ago. I have their CD discography disc that has both of these demos on and a couple more, and the Denial EP. And it's just killer finished death metal. Just untouchable. Not finished. They're from Sweden. I keep doing that, man. I keep mixing all those countries up. They are Swedish death metal that sounds more German-American, kind of. It's hard to say. Yeah, I don't know. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that doesn't make any sense. But Crematory, first and second demos, The Exordium and Wrath from the Unknown. Fucking killer, quintessential, obscure fucking old school death metal. So, that's it. This is a long one. But a lot of new shit. You'll be seeing all these tapes in the future as I listen to them while I make more videos. But that wraps it up. Let's talk about these. Tell me what your favorite is. Let's tell some stories about some old school death metal. Talk to you guys later.